Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Ryan's Guitar Shop. In today's video about how I teach blank to middle schoolers, we are talking duets. And the type of duets that I'm talking about today are where some kids are playing the notes and some kids are playing the chords. I'm not talking about the traditional maybe duet where both parts are playing notes, which will be a video later on, but right now I wanted to talk about how I approach teaching kids chords and notes and how we practice and rehearse those in class. So I feel very strongly about this, mainly because when I learned guitar back in the 7th grade years and years and years ago, my teacher was the choir teacher, and this was his first year teaching guitar. He was kind of just a couple steps ahead of us in his own guitar playing, so a lot of things that we got were just the very basics. And because he was the choir teacher, we did a lot of chord playing, and he would sing, and he would try and get us to sing as well. But I didn't really realize that notes and chords and things like that could go together until I got to college. And when I got to that point, it was actually very difficult for me to keep up because it was more of a distraction than anything. I didn't really learn how the things could work and come together. So I've made it a mission to teach this very early on. So step number one that we're going to do is it's very important to have the kids practice both parts with me over and over again until I feel they're very comfortable. That means we're playing the melody over and over again, and we're playing the chords over and over again. And I like to start with Mary Had a Little Lamb, which I've included the full tab sheet of the book that I use when I do this. And so it's got a couple other songs, but we're going to use Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I'll have it up on screen as we go here today so you can follow along kind of with what I am doing and so forth. So the first thing that I do, step one, is have them really nail down both parts separately. And I think that's very important that they feel very comfortable with both parts separately. I'm playing the notes with them, they're playing the chords with me, and so forth. We're doing it, everything together. The first thing to do is make sure they're very comfortable, because when we do start splitting it up, if they're not comfortable, it's just going to fall apart. Step two is now generally I'll have them play the melody or play the notes by themselves, and then I will strum very basic quarter note strums in a down motion only. I want to make sure that I don't jump too far ahead into multiple strum patterns or finger picking and things like that. I need to make it sure it's simple as possible, because this is one of the first times where I'm not playing exactly with them. So I need to make it as simple as possible. So this first run through, or these first couple run throughs, is me playing quarter note strums with down strumming only, and I will follow the melody. So for example, with Mary Had a Little Lamb, I would strum, you can see the first four notes I would strum as a quarter note, and then I would then do the quarter note and half note strumming in the next couple of measures. So here's an example of that. Okay, step three. So if they feel pretty comfortable with that, which they should, because I'm matching exactly with them, that's just so that they get used to hearing something that's not exactly what they're playing, but at the same time I'm still playing the same rhythm, so they're not confused and so forth with me strumming all these other things and they're playing the notes. We're still playing exactly together. Once I feel comfortable with that, then the next step is I will strum 4 quarter notes per measure no matter what. And then we have a little discussion, and I put it up on my overhead, and I'll kind of draw on the overhead and show them where the strumming and things match up, and it might look something like this that I've got on screen. But trying to reinforce them now that, okay, there's going to be certain parts where you have a pause or break because you have a half note or a whole note, but I'm going to continue strumming the entire time. And I teach them also, or tell them that this is a great way to help them keep time without having to necessarily count everything, especially on long whole notes. They can just listen to the strumming and be able to fill in the gaps from there. And that's one of the basic functions of the chords that I tell them, is to not only to provide a nice background, but also to help provide the tempo and set that aside. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention on step 3 real quick is that you might want to, or you might have to kind of sing or hum the melody along with them to help them kind of reinforce what they should be playing at the same time while you're strumming. If you can't do that, if that's a little bit difficult, that's understandable. They're usually okay, but sometimes I'm a horrible singer. I don't like singing, but I know enough about the singing the melody and things like that that I can generally sing and kind of keep that together, either hum the melody notes or literally sing the lyrics, in this case, to Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's very helpful for them to understand that, okay, I'm still going to sing that, or you still have some reinforcement or backup while I strum, and then I slowly pull that away so that we are doing it with just the music only. Okay, step number 4 then, as we're going through this, now I'll turn that over to them. They will strum. And we've already strummed. They already know to strum 4 times per measure. So the only thing we need to do now is them get the practice of them strumming while I play the notes, and just get them practice with that. So a simple turnover, just switch roles and move on from there. Okay, and then the final step, what I do is what I call the halvesies activity. And the halvesies mean I'm going to split the class in half, and half of them are going to play the notes, half of them are going to play the chords. Now, usually I wait until we feel very comfortable with us doing one role, them all doing the other role, and switching back and forth. I really make sure they're pretty comfortable with that, but at some point then it's just we got to try and do it with them doing half each of the class. And at this point, I'll just assign each class, say this over here, do the notes, this side over here. They already know where the division is, or we've talked about where the division is. And then we play through it. And I always make sure I tell them that we always play it twice, because sometimes most kids are not a big fan of the chords. And so they get a little like, if I pick one section for the notes, the other section, like, okay, we always do everything twice. Make sure that everybody gets the role. Now at this point, I try not to do anything. I just try and sit back and just listen. I'll count them off and start, but I try not to yell out the chords. I try not to sing the melody. I kind of joke with them if one part, if I start playing the notes, that means the notes are failing or falling behind. And that's not the end of the world. Sometimes I'm just really listening. Sometimes I have to pick up and maybe strum a measure or two to kind of help keep them together. But for the most part, what I want to do at this point is be able to do that completely on their own. And know when the chords change, when everything basically as if they're doing a mini performance from there. So they get used to not having any backup from me. And we just see how it goes. And, again, we try different things. We put things together. If it doesn't work so well, we'll have a section repeat it. Like, okay, the notes didn't go really well. Let's try to see if that section can play the notes again. And, we, just rinse and repeat until we start getting it. But I don't push it so far if things aren't working well. And I just know that maybe the next day we need to do some more work individually and go from there. So the other thing I really enforce with we do this is just making sure that when we split the class in half, because the chords are going to really overwhelm the notes, I encourage the chords to strum just a little softer, and I encourage the notes to always play a little bit louder, because in my class of 30 plus, I usually have about 15 each. 15 strummers versus 15 notes are going to be way too big of a contrast. So we always talk about too that always listening and figuring out. I tell the chords, if you can't hear the notes, then you're strumming too loud, and vice versa. Notes, if you can only hear the chords, you can't hear the notes. Maybe so they can kind of adjust as they go. But that's another discussion we have as we're playing the halvesies activity. So one thing I also will do after they start feeling comfortable with all of this, we've done the halvesies activity and things. A lot of times what I will do then is just go into my own playing, and I try and do mix and match it up. I try and make the chords a little bit harder. Maybe I'll add some arpeggios in, and we just, I'm constantly mixing up how I play the chords for them. Obviously, I'm not going to expect them to be able to play the chords at this higher level of playing, but at least on my end, I can provide them an opportunity to hear different types of chord backgrounds and get them used to that as well. So as we finish the halvesies exercises and activities and they feel really comfortable, then as we revisit this, I'll just say, okay, this time when I play the chords, here's how I'm going to play it. And we kind of discuss like, okay, I'm playing all eighth notes, arpeggios, and you guys are playing quarter notes, and we talk a little bit about that, and then we do another pattern. Okay, what is this one? Well, it's mostly quarter notes. So we do various activities like that, and we discuss how it works out, and how we can merge everything together. So again, I hope that this has helped you to be able to encourage you to teach notes and chords, and how you can do it in a group setting. Again, this will always work too with individuals, just one-on-one, doing one or the other. But again, this is great for teaching a large group of kids to be able to play notes and chords together.